funny, we can spend hundreds and hundreds of euros or pounds on rods, and quite often we can disregard what we spend on what is one of the most important parts of our setup, and that's the link between you and the fish, between your fly and your fly line, and it's really important that you have good solid tippet material. You need something that's good diameter, not too thick, and for that diameter that the strength is in it. So when you are fining down, and when you have to fine down, there's still strength in it.
Absolutely, and sometimes the water, as you can see here, the water's crystal clear as well.
Yeah.
On especially Loch Arrow, same as carp, the water's clear on carp as well, and that makes a difference. It makes an awful difference when you come down to that fine stuff as well. Even, as I said, dries will be my big thing. I love dry fly fishing. You love dries.
Yep.
And it makes an awful difference. It really does. And especially this morning there, we seen it there pulling. It made a difference.
Yeah, it has. That is just what you say there. I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to fool the fish. So you want something, you want to stack the odds more in your favour. And if you're using something that's fish can see, or is bulky or whatnot, then
forget about it. As we'd say, forget about it.
Yeah.
Usually in the Masterclass range, from £3 right up to £10 weight on the locks. Basically £3 for canis, £4 for canis, and even for spant gnat up to £4 that's basically for my dry fly fishing. And for pulling then up to £10. I'm a great believer if he pulls back. He's there, and that's it. Especially for Loch Arrow. We've seen it there this morning with the fish. It's just automatically like a train coming after the flies and hammering it. Simple as that. What would you recommend, Tom?
I'm more or less on them as well. To be honest with you, what you just said there, I find this range here covers everything I need.
Yeah.
The locks, take them two out maybe, and that's for my trout. And then whenever I'm after salmon, or occasionally trout if I'm really pulling, that's the 12 pound. They have the 12 pound, the 15 pound there, and for pulling wets, salmon, or let's say pulling big lures, whatnot, I'm going that. But then, as you said, generally my go-to one for wets and pulling is the 10 pound, the 2X. It's great, just really like it. And as you say, he pulls, you pull back, but everybody's still in contact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've used the 10 pound on Glencarr this year for guiding, and I've had salmon, I've had sea trout, some large sea trout, as I showed you the pictures there, sea trout up to 7 pound, and not a bother with it. Absolutely brilliant stuff.
No, it's great stuff.
And I haven't tried the 12 yet, to be honest. I find the 10 is just perfect for me for salmon fishing where I am. So
I have gone up to the 12 pound, and now, to be honest, I haven't actually used the 15 pound, but I just thought I'm going to have it anyway, just in case. But one of the things I like about it, compared to other fluorocarbons, like you look at it there, it's probably won't pick up on this, but it's not that shiny.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's crucial.
Yeah.
With your conditions like today. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of sun today.
Yeah.
And we're putting a lot of things that are happening.
Putting a lot of pressure on us at the moment, especially the guide.
Yeah. The man with the oars.
The man with the oars.
Yeah. I think that's a crucial thing in it. Now, another thing then for the dries, as you said, I've had this before and get asked a lot of times, to use fluorocarbon for dries. I use fluorocarbon for dries. You use fluorocarbon for dries.
Absolutely.
And for my standard lock style setup for dries, and we were discussing this earlier on the boat, on normal conditions where there's a fair bit of wind, we're both inclined to use two flies.
Two flies.
So I go straight for the 7 pound, the 4X. Where is it there? That's the 4X or the 3X. Sometimes I go the 3X, which is 7 pound. If it's a bit rougher or whatnot, if you're on wolves or whatever, bigger fly.
Yeah.
But my go-to generally is the 6 pound 4X. It's great stuff. With the lighter rod, the 5 and the 6 weight rods, no problem with it.
No problem.
No problem with it.
I've actually tapered down this year as well.
Yeah.
From the 6 pound right down to the 5 pound as well.
Yeah.
You know, and that has made a huge difference for me this year as well.
Yeah.
In catching fish and you know, catching a lot of fish. And recently we've tapered from, would you believe, 5 pound right down to 4 pound for the sedge fishing here in August. And
made a difference?
It made a massive difference for us this year on the sedge, small sedges. Massive difference.
Yeah.
You know, and the fish are actually taken with confidence when you're tapered down so fine. But then again, if you don't have the right rod to taper down, that's where the problem.
Yeah, and sometimes people forget that when they're
absolutely.
Don't blame the nylon sometimes.
Don't blame the fluorocarbon, blame the rod.
Yeah.
The rod's too heavy for that.
Yeah.
You know, you need a 5-weight rod if you're going very fine.
Yeah.
And as simple as that.
You know, I've seen people fine down to 5x and 6x fishing a 7-weight rod. But then it's like a learning curve. You generally learn with things like this. You know, it isn't the tippet material's fault. The rod is way too strong. It's just going to break in it.
Too much power in the rod.
Yeah. No, I find the grand now, do a fair whack of it as well. We're down to the other end, the 5.5x and 6x and the 7x. We're down like on Canis.
Yeah.
Ice ideal. It's great stuff. It really is. You have to go down like you're on size 22s. Well, sorry, size 18s mainly.
Yeah,
mainly
20s.
20s. Generally don't normally go down to 22s, but like 18s and 20s, and they're small.
Yeah.
Small.
I was guiding this season on Narrow, a good friend of mine, Hugh McGregor, that comes here regular, and I tapered him down from 4 pound to 3 pound, and he looked at me with shock. He'd tell you himself, you know Ewan as well.
I do, yeah.
And he looked at me shocked, and he picked it up and he looked at it and he says, "That's spider web." You know, but I says, "You're going to catch a fish," and he did.
Yeah.
And he caught a fish on it, but the rod took the pressure. The fluorocarbon made the difference that day. In flat cam conditions, it made the difference. You know, and he wasn't saying spider web anymore, so he wasn't. You know.
Yeah, no, I find that, and like the knot strength is perfect. Any time, and it has happened, mate, it's been pilot error. It goes, and that's due to me making a gammy knot. When you check your knots right on that, it takes a 2-turn, 3-turn surgeon's loop. It's best knot on it for any dropper stuff. But it's been brilliant since it's come out, because as I said, I mean, that's in my tackle box. That's me sorted.
I would have been a big fan of other brands of fluorocarbon, without a shadow of a doubt. And this season, Tom convinced me, and Steve convinced me why you're not using our brand. And I actually, Steve sent me across some of the fluorocarbon, and since he's did, it has made an awful difference for me in guiding. And people have got into the boat and actually started using it. Has made a huge difference in their fishing as well. You know, from other brands, like there recently, a lad was with me and he left 3 flies in a fish, 3 of my flies in a fish, and he says, I don't think the knot was tied right, and it wasn't the knot, it was actually the fluorocarbon was actually rotten, you know. And I made up a spool. He asked me, where can you get that? I says, any full and mill agent has that. And he says, I'm moving right across to that. He landed 5 fish with me that day, and he never had a break after that. And to me, that makes the difference, instead of going through flies after flies after flies.
You can only tie so many.
You can only tie so many in a day.
That's the proof of the pudding, though, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is.
The difference, even on the dries this year, I have to say in August, my dry fly fishing was just outstanding this year in August, because I tapered down, you know, from the 5 to the 4, and it made an awful difference this year on that fluorocarbon for me.
It does, yeah. And it gives you the confidence when you're fishing.
Absolutely.
Doesn't it?
Absolutely.
You know,
I think people get afraid. People get afraid when they see you tapering down.
Yeah.
You're going on 4 pound. Yeah, you're going on 4 pound. But again, we have to say the rod is very important if someone is going doing that. It's so important to come down to a 5-weight rod, and even a 6-weight rod for your two wolves.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there.
You definitely
makes
need
a huge difference. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It does, yeah.
Absolutely. I've seen lads throwing 7-weight rods for dries here last season, and you know, and smashing in fish, you know, for no reason. And you're saying you need a 5 weight, you need a 6 weight at all times carrying, especially if you want to do mayfly properly for your dries. And then same at the spent fishing in the evening time. Like we get massive hatches, like you can look around the trees here.
Yeah.
We get massive hatches of spent here, some of the most brilliant fishing you can have on spent fishing in the evening. And you have to go down to find tippet as well again. And then you need the rod to match it.